event that has stunned the Middle East and reverberated across global capitals. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has reportedly been killed in a coordinated US-Israeli airstrike on Tehran. For more than 3 decades, Khamenei stood at the apex of Iran's political and religious hierarchy. His authority shaped wars and alliances, defined ideological battles, and positioned Iran as both a regional power and a global adversary to the West. Now the man who embodied the Islamic Republic's continuity is gone. Tonight, the Papyrus Global TV examines what his death means for Iran, for the Middle East, and for a world already navigating fragile geopolitical fault lines. On February 28, 2026, reports emerged of a high-precision operation targeting Beit Rabari, the heavily fortified house of leadership in central Tehran. Within hours, Iranian state media confirmed what many believed impossible. The supreme leader was dead. The operation, allegedly authorized by US President Donald Trump and supported by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was described by Western officials as a decapitation strike aimed at dismantling Iran's command structure and neutralizing what they termed an existential nuclear and missile threat. The strike reportedly killed senior members of Iran's security apparatus, including top commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the powerful force that has served as both guardian of the revolution and enforcer of internal control. But beyond the military implications, the symbolism was unmistakable. For the first time since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran's supreme leader had been removed not by succession, but by force. To understand the magnitude of this moment, one must understand the man. Ali Khamenei assumed leadership in 1989, succeeding revolutionary founder Ruhollah Khomeini. At the time, he was seen by some as a compromise candidate, less charismatic, less authoritative than his predecessor. But over the decades, Khamenei consolidated power with remarkable precision. He strengthened the supreme leader's constitutional authority. He aligned closely with the Revolutionary Guard Corps. He marginalized reformists, and he positioned Iran as the nucleus of what became known as the axis of resistance. Under his watch, Iran extended influence into Lebanon through Hezbollah, bolstered President Bashar al-Assad in Syria, supported Shiite militias in Iraq, and armed Houthi forces in Yemen. To supporters, he was a defender of sovereignty, a guardian of Islamic values, and a bulwark against Western domination. To critics, he was an authoritarian ruler whose tenure was marked by repression, economic hardship, and international isolation. His leadership was not merely political, it was theological, strategic, and institutional, and that is precisely why his absence creates such uncertainty. The scenes across Iran in the aftermath of his death tell two different stories. In Tehran's Engelab Square, thousands gathered dressed in black, chanting prayers and mourning a leader they viewed as a symbol of national resistance. But in other cities, particularly in parts of southern Iran, videos showed celebrations, crowds dancing, fireworks igniting, statues defaced. The contrast is striking. For some Iranians, this moment represents loss and vulnerability. For others, it signals opportunity, perhaps even liberation. Iran has endured years of economic sanctions, rising inflation, and periodic mass protests. Demonstrations in 2025 were met with harsh crackdowns, leaving deep scars in society. Now, with the central authority figure removed, the question emerges, will grief consolidate the regime or fracture it? Iran's constitution provides a mechanism for succession through the assembly of experts. In the interim, reports suggest that a temporary leadership council has assumed control, including President Masoud Pezeshkian, Judiciary Chief Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei, and senior cleric Ali Reza Arafi. But the process is unlikely to be smooth. One frequently mentioned figure is Mojtaba Khamenei, the late leader's son. Yet hereditary succession in the revolutionary Islamic Republic presents ideological contradictions. Another possibility: deeper consolidation of power by the Revolutionary Guard. The IRGC has evolved beyond a military force. It controls vast economic networks, strategic infrastructure, and regional operations. If it moves to dominate the political transition, Iran could shift from clerical supremacy to overt military dominance. Such a move would reshape the Islamic Republic's identity. Khamenei was not merely Iran's leader, he was a central architect of Middle Eastern power dynamics. His death reverberates far beyond Tehran. In Lebanon, Hezbollah faces strategic recalibration. In Syria, Iranian backed militias must reconsider command structures. In Iraq, armed groups aligned with Tehran may act independently. In Yemen, the Houthis could adjust tactics amid uncertainty. Israel, long viewing Iran as its most significant threat, now confronts a volatile transition next door. Meanwhile, Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, are weighing whether this moment signals reduced tension or dangerous unpredictability. And then there is oil. The Strait of Hormuz, through which nearly a fifth of global petroleum passes, remains a pressure point. Any instability in Iran risks disrupting global energy markets. Washington describes the strike as strategic and preventative. Critics argue it crosses into regime change doctrine. For President Trump, the move signals a willingness to escalate beyond sanctions and proxy containment. But history casts long shadows. The 2003 Iraq invasion demonstrated how removing a central authority can create prolonged instability. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has already emphasized the importance of lawful basis and careful planning, referencing lessons from Iraq. Meanwhile, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has voiced support for Iran's sovereignty and warned against unilateral military aggression. The geopolitical chessboard is shifting. Will this event isolate Iran or push it closer to China and Russia in a hardened bloc? Experts outline three plausible trajectories for Iran. Hardline continuity. A new supreme leader emerges from the existing clerical establishment, maintaining ideological rigidity. The IRGC strengthens its grip. Foreign policy remains confrontational. 2. Fragmentation and unrest. Power struggles ignite internal instability. Protests resurface. Regional actors exploit the vacuum. Iran experiences prolonged political turbulence. 3. Gradual reform. A pragmatic faction gains influence, seeking sanctions relief and recalibrated foreign policy. Economic stabilization becomes priority. Controlled political reform begins. Each path carries risk. Each path carries consequence. Whatever one's perspective, Khamenei's influence is undeniable. He shaped a generation of Iranian political thought. He institutionalized clerical supremacy. He expanded Iran's regional footprint. He defined an era of resistance against Western pressure. Beyond geopolitics, there were quieter dimensions: support for religious scholarship, emphasis on ideological education, charitable initiatives seldom publicized. His legacy will be debated for decades. Was he a guardian of sovereignty or an architect of repression? History will render its verdict. As dawn breaks over Tehran without its supreme leader, Iran stands at a crossroads. The institutions he fortified remain intact for now. The ideological structures endure, but the psychological impact of his sudden removal is profound. For ordinary Iranians, the future is uncertain. For regional powers, calculations intensify. For global markets, volatility looms. This is more than the death of a leader. It is the destabilization of a system built around singular authority. Will this be remembered as the beginning of reform or the spark of wider war? Only time will answer. For now, the world watches. The Papyrus Global TV will continue to bring you in-depth analysis, on-the-ground perspectives, and comprehensive coverage of this unfolding historic chapter. From Tehran to Washington, from Tel Aviv to Beijing, the aftershocks are only beginning. This is the Papyrus Global TV. Stay informed, stay engaged. The story continues. I am Christiana Babayo.